Tom Brady time.
Tom Brady time. Let's go ahead and talk about the Saints and the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are favored by 6 and the over-under is 50. Saints have won 5 straight against the Bucs, but no more Drew Brees. Since 2010, the former number 1 overall quarterbacks are 1 and 6 in their first start versus the team that originally drafted them. So bad news for Jameis there. And on the Saints side, in terms of injury, you know, Will Lutz is the place kicker. He had a setback in his recovery, so he's going to be stuck on IR. So they still got that no name out there doing his thing. Anyone else? Gosh, I don't really care on any of those injuries. Bucks wise, Richard Sherman, OJ Howard, Rob Gronkowski, Antonio Brown, Scotty Miller, Jason Pierre Paul. Those are all the names that I would be looking out for. Mostly they're all listed as questionable, except for Antonio Brown. He's currently listed as doubtful. So on this game, I am going to go ahead and throw it over to Tyler. What do you think is happening? Bucks Saints.
Yeah, I think a fun narrative that I'm going to try to spin here that maybe doesn't go a long way with a lot of people, but for me, I don't know why it just sticks out as something that I can imagine Tom Brady caring about. Last year was the first year since since Tom Brady got injured that he lost his division. And he lost his division to this team. If you don't think that Tom Brady wants to smack the crap out of these guys, I think you're wrong. We look at the Saints defense and they can stop the run, but Tampa seems to hand the ball off when they have a lead, and if it's working they keep doing it, and if it doesn't matter if Tampa's up 30. If it's 3rd and 8, Tom's throwing successfully. So I think if Leonard Fournette's unable to run the ball, I think that actually helps Tampa's offense, because at that point they're not playing ball control football. They're just going down the field and scoring. I like Tampa to cover 6. Tampa has been one of those teams that doesn't really put teams away, but this feels like one of those games where I think they might. I also like the over. I think that Jameis is gonna Jameis, right? Jameis scores touchdowns and he throws interceptions. So what he does. This Tampa secondary has been really exploitable. Obviously, we forget that because we watched the game last week and Tampa looked like they figured it out, but really it was just their opponent. But I think Tampa's going to be able to put up enough points that Jameis is gonna huck it. He's going to probably find Callaway for a TD. I think if you needed to start Callaway this week, I think it would be a fine play. He's going to throw a couple interceptions, maybe let Tampa, get a couple quick touchdowns. I like the over in this game. I think that on the Buccaneers side of the ball, you're starting both receivers. I don't think you have a choice but to start Fournette. I think that he's just been getting too much volume to not do it, but I wouldn't expect a ton out of him. I don't think he's a DFS play that I would love this week, especially because we've been seeing his price go up. Obviously, you have Tom, he's in there. On the Saints side of the ball, like I said, if you want to take a shot with Callaway, do it. If you just, traded and got Kamara with this Ingram news, I'd probably bench him. I wouldn't want him out on the field with Mark Ingram coming and taking all the touches, Mike. So if you wanted to bench Kamara, you could do that.
That's a very funny
That
joke.
that's just what I would suggest. So,
Nailed it, dude.
I just thought
Fair.
that was a great idea. If you don't do it, I understand, but if you took the shot, I would respect it a lot. No, but Kamara's gonna have a great game. I think we've seen this year when Kamara's getting a ton of rushing volume, it's typically not turning into much, right? It's those games where Kamara is getting hyper targeted that he's having these breakout performances. And I think this is going to be one of those games where they just have to. There's going to be a lot of passing volume to go around, other than Khalil Herbert last week, who threw down 100 on Tampa. Nobody's been able to rush against this team. They might try to hand it off, play a little bit of ball control football, but we know Tampa. Tampa likes to go out, go up 14 real quick, and it's going to force Jameis to drop back and pass. Like I said, I think Callaway maybe finds the end zone once, but other than that, it just spells a lot of dump offs for Alvin Kamara. What do you think there, Matt? You look really intrigued.
Well, yeah, I mean, Tom Brady's playing, so of course I am. I mean, it is. It's Tom Brady. The Antonio Brown injury is going to throw a slight little kink into this game a little bit, but it's not going to matter. Nothing has mattered to Tom Brady this year. Tom Brady is playing pitch and catch. Tom Brady is having an MVP season at age 44 and making it look way too easy. Way too easy. I think the Bucks win this game by 14 or even potentially more. I think they're going to come out and absolutely try to lay an absolute brick on the Saints. The Saints swept them during the regular season last year. Like you said, that's not a narrative you have to create. Tom Brady had an interview on Sirius XM this last week after playing against the Bears. And the first takeaway he had from the game against the Bears, he was pissed that they didn't score 50 because he thought that they had 50 on the table easily. Tom Brady is going for it right now. And, divisional game. The Saints are actually technically within reaching. They're within reach of the division right now, being 4-2, even though the Bucks are 6-1 and clearly in control. I think Tom Brady and the team come out and absolutely smack them. I think this is an absolute blow up game for Chris Godwin. And the reason I say that too is Marshawn Lattimore has had a solid track record against Mike Evans, limiting him to less than ideal games. And if you're going to put the attention on Mike Evans and maybe put a safety over the top to limit some of those deep passes, that's fine. Because guess who's back this week? Rob Gronkowski. And Tom Brady, I don't know if you guys saw this. He had one of the funniest quotes about Gronk this week. Where he basically the person that was interviewing him asked about Gronk, and he said, Gronk is just one of those. He's a very special person, and when you're talking, when we're putting together the game plan, and we're talking about schematics, Gronk is so good at just adapting that it's just best to not give him too much information to comprehend, so that we can just actually go out and execute the game plan. That was the most brilliant way of calling Gronk an idiot that I've ever heard. And the best part is it's perfect because Gronk said it himself. It's like, I don't watch film. I just ask Tom what to do, and then I run past people. I think Gronk has a fantastic game. Easily, I think he's due back for a touchdown, maybe more down in the red zone. I think we're going to see a little bit more of a New England style offense this week from Tom. You could see potentially Gio Bernard a little bit more involved to add in more opportunity out of the backfield. I actually do think Leonard Fournette's going to have a pretty decent game here, mostly because him and Tom have been doing a really good job working on routes out of the backfield. But all that considered, you're going to start your Bucks players. You're going to start Alvin Kamara. I guess you can start Callaway, but I don't know. I'll take the over. Most of those points are going to be the Bucks, and I'll take the Bucks to cover. Quite easy.
Yeah, there's not much that I can say on that one. You guys both nailed it on the head for me. I'm gonna take the Bucks on this one. The only stat that kind of made me nervous is that the Bucks are 3-4 this season against the spread. But if you look back at those trends, it's because they started out the season with double-digit spreads and really, really high spreads the whole time. With it only being 5.5, 6 points, Saints only put up 14 against the Seahawks on Monday, and Seahawks are a terrible defense. So, yeah, I think the Bucks definitely have a touchdown or 10 points on the Saints in this game. So I'm gonna take the Bucks pretty confidently in this one. The over-under I've been kind of going back and forth with, just because we just watched the Saints put up only 14 points against a really, really bad defense right now. So I'll still probably go with the over just because that offense, like you said, Matt, Tom Brady is a very petty human being and wants to win and win at all costs. He did go 0-2 against the Saints last year in the regular season. and beat them in the playoffs, but he definitely did lose both his matchups against them. So I think he comes out, just wants to dominate, just wants to win as bad as he can and put up as much points and really show why he's the GOAT.
Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and just make all these picks unanimous here. We got Tampa and the over. All four of us do. To Tyler's point about Alvin Kamara, I think the one number that you should be afraid of is 128. That was Alvin Kamara's receiving yards. He's their leading receiver, not their leading running back. That dude just catches dump offs like no other. So, yes, Tampa is great against the run, but Alvin Kamara is a little bit of a different beast on that front, dude. Thank you for listening to this little highlight of the 2 Minute Drill podcast. If you want to follow along to other games, here's a playlist for you. If you want to listen to the show in its entirety, show links are in the description. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.